prior to applying any etching primer or filler primer, I'm going over each of the wheels to look for areas which still have you know, little nicks that weren't quite filled in with the primer, so with the filler, sorry. So just looking here, I've just marked a couple of spots. I can just feel just here, this little spot. This wheel's pretty good, just another little tiny nick there, and a couple of little tiny, you can see on this one you can see it's not quite flush, still a little bit of a dint there that could be filled. And same just there, it's only minor, but I want to try and get it as best I can. These other two wheels here are pretty friggin' good. Pretty happy with how these ones have come out. But this one here is the worst. So we've got quite a large section here which obviously either just didn't take, or I put too little on, or it was even possibly not clean enough and the fillers just sort of come out with sanding. Minor piece here, another large area to do here and here, and here you can actually see where the gouge, you can see the scratches, but they're actually filled. If you can see the sort of the edge there is nice and flush. And here there's a little tiny dint to fill in, and you can see here again like where the scratches have actually been filled and sanded down. So that's actually nice and flat there. And this little mark here is just with the sanding. I've just been using a little block of wood just to sort of gauge how flat the surface looks. And you can see here again, it's the edge is nice and uniform, and the scratches are actually filled in pretty well there. So that's pretty much it. Just a couple of larger areas to do here, and should be ready with sanding once that's dry, and then more the first lot of priming. This is the actual product I'm using, so it's just a body filler basically with some aluminium more or less in it. Comes in two parts, the actual filler material itself and a hardener. One tip for anyone watching this that I have found is maybe squeeze out half of this and then half of the recommended amount of hardener, as it goes off very quickly. You've got like 4 minutes working time before it becomes almost like a cookie dough consistency, and it's impossible to work with. So maybe work out, you know, a third of this and a third of the recommended amount, or half, and then work in smaller amounts, and that will make it a lot easier. Because if you get 2/3 the way through a wheel and it messes up and it starts hardening up, you've then got to jump to the next packet and you've wasted 80% of the product. So I recommend doing that. You'll find then that this will go a lot further. You get 4 or 5 of these in a packet, and this is the last one I've got left to sort of touch up the last few little areas of this rim, and do still quite a little bit on this one because it just didn't take as well on this one. So that's where we're at next. I'll be mixing up sort of say a third of this and a little bit of this. It recommends for the whole one of these a strip about, you know, like 3 mils wide by about 4 centimeters. So I'll go like a third of this and a, you know, centimeter and a bit of this stuff here. Hopefully that might give me a little bit more time to work with it. See how we go. So as you can see, this is about a quarter of the amount compared to this. I'm just going to put a minor amount of this in it. I think that's plenty here. I'll give it a quick stir and apply to the last wheel. First coat is on after the etching primer, which was not too bad of an issue. I barely got 3.5 wheels, including the inside, done with the first can, so that'll do for the first coat anyway. Second coat I'll do exclusively with the front spokes, of course, and then any left over I'll give them a light going over afterwards before applying the clear. This is one I've last done, so it's still slightly wet, but it seems to be going on pretty even. This is the one which we did first, so it's ready to go again. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Obviously, I'm not an expert, so all the marks are still showing. You can see this is the first coat, so you can still see little sanding scratches here. There's some scratches on the surface from preparing it, which I thought would have been filled in, but never mind. I mean, from a distance like this, or standing up next to the car, you're barely going to notice them anyway. And compared to what these look like initially, this is crap loads better, way better. So I'm happy overall at this stage. Let's get the second coat on, and hopefully they'll go a tad darker, and we'll see how they look then once we put some clear on. First coat of clear is on. Goes on pretty easy again, same as the colour. It's obviously not hiding any of the scratches, but it is giving the wheels a beautiful glossy wet look. This is only the first coat, so second coat, hopefully a third if I can get enough out of a can. This is the one I've just done, so you can still see it's obviously still not flushed off correctly yet. It's still damp in spots. It looks like it's sort of running, but it's not. I'm pretty happy with the finish so far, considering this is the first paint job I've really done on anything. I'm pretty happy with it so far. Let's see how it goes. Right, getting ready to prepare the second clear coat. And I should also note, I actually forgot about these. So I had just enough colour in the cans to do the centre cap, so I've given them 2 coats and a clear as well, so they're just sitting around just waiting now. So from a distance they look pretty good pretty happy with it. Up close, not so good. It kind of looks like the rims are old wheels that someone's scratched too hard cleaning. But if you sort of stand back at distance, at the right angle, they're not too bad. Did the inside as well, just slightly. But overall, I'm not disappointed, but not best job. But, you know, what, 80% satisfied. You can still see a lot of the scratches from my actual sanding, so the damage from the gutter rash is mostly all gone, which is fantastic. But my work of sanding the rims for a painting prep has kind of left a bit of a mark. So what I would have done in future is used a filler primer after the etching primer. So maybe the etching primer wasn't even necessary. Maybe you should have just gone and just used a filler primer. But now I know for next time. But the colour's a great match from Super Cheap Auto, using the Renault code 252272, I believe it was. So I'm pretty happy with that. Considering what the original ones were, that's pretty accurate.